Welcome to the first episode of Outside the Oval, a brand new, exciting running podcast brought to you by another runner. I'm extremely excited to bring you the first episode from the lovely confines of my dorm room, which is playing host as my luxury recording studio for the time being. My name is Gavin Frick. I'm a Division I runner at Kennesaw State University in Kennesaw, Georgia. Before I moved to Georgia, just to give you a little background, I lived in both Ohio and Texas. Lived in Ohio for most of my life, running and competing in high school for 3 years before moving to Texas in the middle of winter break my junior year. Moving at that point of your life is extremely difficult. You don't really know anyone, you're playing a lot of catch up, and everyone already has their friend groups. So it was really around then I fell in love with our sport, really started taking it seriously. And over the past several years, other than running, and maybe watching a little bit of Braves baseball, talking about running has always been my favorite thing to do. Whether that's with my family or friends, I love talking about running. So here we are. I've written for Mile Split in the past. I've covered the Ohio State track and field and cross country state championships. Also covered a little bit for Mile Split Arizona as well. In addition, I've also started a fantasy cross country league with my friends, and I promise I'll go into detail of it in a future episode. It's extremely fun. Very excited for you guys to hear about that. And one thing I've never done, even though I've always had the itch to do it, is start a podcast. Well, finally, here we are. Welcome to my running podcast. As I alluded to, I've always wanted to start one. I love talking about running. However, I think one of the things that make our sport so beautiful is what happens outside of the sport, or outside the oval, if you will. The stories people have training for a big race, or the feeling they have after they finish racing. That is what the sport is all about. And that's what makes running personal best so rewarding. So no, I don't plan on talking about running for 20 to 60 minutes every episode. Sure, it's a running podcast, and that's what we're going to talk about for most of the time. But I like to see what makes these special running moments that we're really going to highlight special. And most of the time, that's going to be because of something that happens before or after that makes that experience so rewarding. So let's get started. Today is Tuesday, June 28th, and we're taking things one day at a time here on the Outside the Oval podcast, the newest running experience on the internet. And on today's show, I'll be joined by Zach Kreft, a 4-time state champion from the state of Ohio, who will break down his time at Notre Dame, relive some of his incredible moments as a Buckeye Valley Baron, and fill us in on some of his most recent ventures as well. I'm super excited for you guys to hear my conversation with Zach Kreft that I had the other day. Very insightful, loved every moment of it, and had a lot of fun. A lot of these stories were ones I've wanted to hear for a very long time. I am so excited to share these with all of you guys. From running to woodworking and even milk, Zach and I cover it all. So without further ado, I present to you Outside the Oval, Episode 1 with Zach Kreft. Welcome, everybody, to the first edition of the Outside the Oval podcast. Today I'm joined by my guest, Zach Kreft, who has spent his past 4 years at Notre Dame running and will transfer to Walsh University for his final year eligibility. Zach, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, Gavin, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, and I felt like it was only fitting that you were my first guest. A lot of my friends, when we were growing up in Ohio, watching you compete with some of the best in the country, we always thought you were what we strove to be. So it was only fitting, like I said, that you were my first guest, and I'm really excited to get to hear some of the stories that I only could dream about as a young sophomore and freshman in Ohio. First off, let's run down Zach's accolades. In high school, Zach Kreft, one of the best runners in the country, especially at the time. Ohio High School 5K cross-country record, which he set at the Midwest Meet of Champions. Ran a 14:29 out dueling Dustin Horder. We'll talk about that later. 2-time state champion in cross-country and on the track. He total of 16 MOAC championships as well, 12 in track and 4 on the cross-country course. Then he ran a 4:10 in the 16, 8:58 in the 32, and like I said, 14:29 in the 5K. And then on to college, went 8:06 in the 3K, a 14:04 in the 5K, 8:53 in the steeple, coming off an impressive Eastern Regional qualifying race in the preliminary round, coming in 25th, almost getting it done in your first year doing the steeple.
No,
So
I
that's pretty
appreciate it.
exciting. Yeah, and going into next year, getting to build on that steeple, that's going to be really exciting to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. I am looking forward to, steeple wasn't something I kind of envisioned myself running in college. I've never really been one to hurdle. I kind of feel like I have some difficulties jumping, but hey, yeah, Coach Carlson put me in it this year. Thought I had some potential, so I think next year, talking with Coach Maziko at Walsh, she's gonna keep me rolling in it a little bit. So yeah, no, I'm excited to keep the steeple going.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. You definitely got a high ceiling there, and I'm excited to
Thank you.
see you hopefully at the national level next year.
That's the goal. That's
Yeah.
the goal. Yeah.
So we'll jump right in. Obviously, going to high school at Buckeye Valley, you led your team to a state championship meet, I believe, twice. Of course, winning 2 state titles yourself, and then committing to Notre Dame in early fall of your senior year. How was the transition from Buckeye Valley to Notre Dame your first year? Of course, you're going from a big fish in a smaller pond to really small fish in a huge pond. Notre Dame's a huge campus, a lot of
Yeah.
history there on the running side, of course. How was that transition? How did it go for you?
Yeah. So I guess to give a background to some of the listeners, yeah, BV, Buckeye Valley. I mean, as you know, Gavin, a pretty small school. Jonathan Alder, where you went, same thing. Wasn't the team? I mean, yeah, didn't really have um, guys I could train with at such a high level like that. So going to Notre Dame, being around all those really good guys, I came in with a pretty good class. Danny Kilray, Dylan Jacobs, just to name a few of the guys. And I mean, you had other guys on the team, Yard and Goose. I mean, ends up making the Olympics. You got other really good, talented guys, all Americans. Definitely a big jump. Something I wasn't really prepared for freshman year. I mean, you're going from, like you said, being more of a top dog in a smaller pond, top big fish in a smaller pond, to back to the little guy. That's kind of exciting though. You kind of get to try something new. You get to kind of rebuild yourself, rebuild your name. That's one thing that college definitely allows you to do. So no, the transition was definitely a tough one. I think all of us in our class that year kind of had our different struggles going in terms of like the guys I came in with, and we talked about that, and we tried to overcome them as a class. And that's one thing. I know cross country and track, it seems individual, but man, it's really a team sport. Even on the track, when you're fighting in individual spots, you got that team. So yeah, I know going into college, definitely a big transition. I definitely think I relied on my teammates a lot to help me make that transition. And college was tough. It wasn't the results I wanted to see in undergrad, at least. But no, definitely having my teammates, working with them, definitely helped make that transition a little easier. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you obviously, I'm fairly familiar with your teammates in high school. That great guys, really enjoyed hanging out
Oh
with you
yeah,
guys when it came to meet
yeah,
days, and I'm sure it was the same kind of thing at Notre Dame. You had a great group of people, great people to train with. It had to be a fun time. Um, of course, you already hit on this. It wasn't the undergrad you wanted, but you did finish strong the last 2 years at Notre Dame. How would you grade your uh, college career so far? Have you accomplished any of your goals?
yeah. No, that's a really good question. I'm pretty hard on myself. At least I've been that way since as long as I can remember, really, with running. In terms of grading myself, I would say I'm pretty average. At least I left feeling pretty average. That's kind of partially me wanting to try somewhere else out, a little change of scenery. I would, if I had to rate myself, I'd give myself probably a C minus. I know it might sound pretty tough to some, but coming out of high school, I really felt like I could make a splash at the national stage, and throughout my 4 years at college, didn't or 4 years of undergrad, didn't even run at a national meet. I know we came from a really deep team. I had guys that were pushing me to get better, but on my end, I couldn't get it done. Um, And I think that change of scenery could be pretty good for me. I'm coming in this past cross my last cross country season with Notre Dame. I kind of once my season finished, I kind of had a realization and sat down like what's holding me from being on that national ranking team? What's holding me from being an All American? What's keeping me from trying to reach the best of my abilities? And it took me a while. It's not something mental. Running is very mental and physical. I learned that in college. I didn't really unlock the mental aspects of the sport until reaching college.
Mm-hmm.
I started working on that mental side. Started meditating. Started seeing sports psychs. Started just really trying to focus on my mental side. I really, if something boils down, if you boil down the 100% of physical and the mental side of running, I would say running's 80 to 90% mental, in my opinion, 10 to 20% physical. And you learn the physical part in college is the easier part. Getting the mind right, keeping yourself confident. You just having good thoughts up there that you can be with the best. That's a big piece of it. So yeah, I really didn't understand that, sadly, till my later years in college. And it was really after this past cross country season and winter of 2022, I was like, hey, I can compete with the best. I can get myself up there. I can do this. And yeah, that's when I started seeing my better PRs come in out of my undergrad career. I was able to run 14:04 this indoor season, 8:06. Did a mile time trial, which I was pretty happy with, and got down to 4:06. I really think if I trained, I can get that a little better. And then, yeah, I was able to try steeple for the first time. And, I was training since January, so it wasn't like I just went out and started jumping. It put some work into it, a lot of early mornings. But, yeah, I was able to, fortunately, get down to 8:53, which I was pretty happy with. And honestly, Gavin, yeah, I feel like that kind of lit a fire for next year. I feel like I'm starting to get back to who I want to be and myself running. And, you always tell yourself that, but this feels a little different. It feels like an inner feeling. I'm starting to get back to where I want to be, to where I was. So that's why, I'd give my undergrad. I'm going to give it a C minus. In my opinion, I was pretty average. But luckily, we're all kind of blessed with that COVID year where you can use that extra eligibility. You have one more year left, and for me, I think I did need to change the scenery. And I think I got that. I think I got a good place next year in Walsh, and I'm very excited about it. So,
yeah. So, obviously, from my perspective, I love hearing how much of a competitor you are. As a competitor myself, and
yes.
seeing you race as a freshman and sophomore in high school, I knew how much of a competitor you are. So I wasn't surprised to hear you were disappointed with what you ran, even though they are fast times, because you set the bar so high, and anything less than a championship, I'm sure to you, isn't what you want. So transitioning, you said you are going to Walsh University, which is super exciting. What made you want to go to Walsh? What was the recruiting process like? And ultimately, why did you choose Walsh?
Yeah. Quite a few reasons why I chose Walsh. It's a starter. There were a few years at Notre Dame when I was running my earlier years. I really asked myself the question: am I happy running? Am I happy doing this? I don't want to put a stigma out here for Division I schools, but it felt like a business in a sense. It really felt like if I wasn't running well, I was pushed to the side, wasn't talked to, just feel like I didn't matter as an individual. And that's pretty hard, especially when you're already down on yourself, and nobody wants to be bad. Let's be out. Nobody wants to be bad. Everybody wants to be good, and guys throughout the country are willing to put the work in. And I felt like I was giving everything I had, and I still was just being pushed to the side, not feeling like I mattered. Our team was very deep. I mean, I think you check the facts on me, so I'm not lying to you here, but I think we had my sophomore junior year, we had 15 guys go sub 8:30 in the 3K, sub 8:25 maybe. I mean, that was indoor. I mean, we had guys 14:20 was slow on our team for the 5K. It's a good time. It's really fast. to make the cross roster, you almost had to be an All-American, which I think was doable for myself. But for me, when I just didn't feel like I mattered on the team, or I didn't feel like I was needed, it gets tough. And I have some really good guys on the team that I'm friends with, really good teammates. For me, I think it stems from the coaching a little bit, and that's where my junior year, there were some things my junior year that happened. I won't go into detail too much, but that's when I knew I'm like if I decide to run for a fifth year, I'm going to run somewhere else. So basically, I decided, I'm going to enter the transfer portal my senior year, and I did. I entered the transfer portal, and Gavin, not going to lie, like I said, I'm pretty hard on myself. I entered the transfer portal. I didn't think I'd get many looks. At the time, when I entered the portal, I had a 14-13 to my name, had an 8-11, 8-12, 3K. My cross-country resume wasn't anything great. And I'm like, man, like, I want to run somewhere else. I have no idea where I want to run. I got some good buddies at a lot of Ohio schools. But I was like, yeah, I'll probably I'm not sure where I'm going to go. Long story short, I entered the transfer portal, and I was very shocked. Here I was thinking I was this average guy, and I was getting emails from, and emails don't mean much, but I was still getting looks. I was getting looks from coaches that I thought for teams I'd never imagined. Like, I'd be like, oh wow, they're interested, really. Like, what do they see? I'm not running too well right now. And that was a little confidence booster for me. I was like, hey, like maybe I can run wherever I want. I can do this, I don't need to be pushed to the side. I mean, I'm more than my result as a person. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I started looking at all these schools. For me, it really came down to, if I had a Final Four in mind, it came down to Walsh, obviously, Grand Valley, Purdue, and Duke. And I liked all four of the schools. But I'm not gonna lie, for me, Division I scared me a little bit. I kind of was comparing how I felt at Notre Dame, my treatment, my relationship with my coaches, to other Division I schools, and I'm like, man, I don't want that same treatment. I'm very fortunate to have this one extra year of eligibility. I got one season of cross country, indoor and outdoor track. I want to go somewhere where I feel confident. And it boiled down, at the end of the day, it boiled down to Walsh. I felt very confident in Coach Mazzico and what he's doing. I felt really confident in the guys I'd be training with. I felt very confident in what their mission was and what they're trying to do. And I just felt really confident at the end of the day. I wanted to come back to Ohio. I asked myself, what do I want? And I was like, you know what? I want to go back to the home state. I got one more year to run. I feel that's where I feel most confident, and that's where I want to be. So for me, it feels like home. It felt like a really good choice for myself, and the place where I feel like I'm going to be the most confident. And Gavin, not going to lie, I'm very excited for next year. It's internal excitement too. There's a fire that's lit. Like I said, my earlier years in undergrad, that fire was kind of it wasn't there. I kind of lost it for a sec. Kind of lost who I was as a runner. But yeah, I feel like it's back. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be joining some of my buddies too. I got some good friends at Walsh, Hunter Moore. We've been buddies since 2018. Running brought us together. That's the beauty about this sport. Running brings a lot of guys together. We're all trying to do the same thing, similar goals. So yeah, no, I'm very excited. Walsh has a really good team, really good program. I'm very blessed and fortunate that they welcomed me with open arms. And yeah, I'm excited. If I will say one thing, I choose a school that you're going to be happy at. Don't choose a division. I'm not pushing people away from any division. I'm not trying to tell people to go to a certain division. Go where you're going to make a difference. You're going to be happy, where you're going to be valued as a person. At the end of the day, running is a big part of our lives. It's not the only part of our lives. We got a lot of things that make us unique as people. Don't tie your worth to a result. I did that for a while, and it beat me up quite a bit. But I'm fine now. I don't do that anymore, so I'm okay there. But yeah, no, not to keep beating a dead horse. I'm very excited about next year. It's going to be awesome. Coach Rob Mazzico is going to do he's already been doing some cool things, and I'm just glad that they allowed me to join them for 1 year and help them keep the tradition going and do some cool things as well. So yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, you have a great group of guys there. And like you said, you are returning home and you're going somewhere that makes you happy. And I think that's the most underrated thing when it comes to recruiting. Go where what feels like home. And Ohio feels like home. And that's really important. I'm really happy that you landed somewhere that does feel like that. Real quickly, before we transition to the next topic, what are your
Yeah.
goals for next season? Obviously, got a great group of guys, probably a team contender at the D2 National Championship. Any specific, specific goals heading into next year?
Yeah, no, definitely. I like to put my goals team oriented. I feel like when you have the team goals, it pushes more out of yourself. I know that was in high school. That was a big thing for us, and I try to keep that going in college. So, yeah, I look at the team, what they've done, Walsh, and what we kind of want to do as a team. And in order to get those results, you got to perform individually. So, in terms of conference in cross country, they've been conference champions for the past few years, at least that I know of. Want to keep that going, obviously, but it's one of those things you don't just want to win. You kind of want to dominate. You want to show those other teams like, hey, like we didn't just beat you. You know, we're here. Walsh is here to play. We're not here to just win a conference and be happy winning by a few points. I'm hoping. I think they put 8-20 last year, and I'm hoping we can put 5-10. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a pretty good day at the conference level. In the GMAC. In terms of regionals, they got second last year. They lost. No, they got third. My bad, third place. They lost to Grand Valley and Lewis. Both very, very respectable and really good schools. And Grand Valley won the whole thing last year. But yeah, top two finish at regionals would be really cool. It's something that, I mean, to qualify for nationals, they've done that for the past 6 years. So, knock on wood, everybody's healthy. That shouldn't be a problem. And then nationals, I think Walsh as a team, on the men's side, the highest safe places, I think 18th, I believe. Um, but man, I really think if we all have good days, I could see a top eight finish. That would be pretty awesome. I don't want to go as far to say podium. I know that's in the back of my mind. I really think this group of guys is there's something special this next year. We got a lot of young guys that are coming up to be some studs. I mean, you got Nathan Moore, Division One 3200 state champion 2 years ago. He'll be a sophomore this year. Key factors: Noah Murray's coming back for his 6th year. He's been conference GMAC champ, 7th in the D2 region. Um, Drew Roberts, another really key figure of the team. Hunter Moore, if he had eligibility, I mean I wish he did. I really wish he did. Yeah, no, the team's looking good. It's really deep. Got a lot of goals there. In order to do that, in order to play so high, I need to help the team on my end too, and I'm hoping to, um, putting the bar pretty high. Top 5 finish at nationals would be my goal for Division Two. Um, regionals and conference, got to go for the wins there. So, and if I have my teammates vying for the win with me, even better. That means we're going to place even lower. So, yeah, those are kind of my goals going into cross country. Don't really have any time goals on the grass, just because as you know, each course is a little different. But in terms of placing, I want to be as high as I can each race. Put myself out there and fight for the win, and see what happens.
Yeah, you guys got a great group there. Knowing the guys that I do know on that team, with the addition of you, I know you guys will be very competitive next year. So that's going to be very exciting to see. So we'll take a step back for a little bit. We can run down memory lane through the high
Oh
school
yeah.
days. First race I got to bring up, Midwest Media Champions, which we already hit on just slightly at the beginning. Big day for you, knocking down Dustin Horder, who was probably top 1 or 2 runner in the nation up until that point. Run me down that race. What stands out? What was your favorite moment?
Yeah, no, I won't be lying if I haven't thought about that day quite a bit since then. It's I think if I had to say myself, my best race in high school, still gives me chills just thinking about it. We didn't prepare for that race any differently than we would for any other race, which was really cool. Going into that season, if I were to backtrack leading up to that race, I had some pretty big goals in mind. My goal was to go undefeated in the regular season. Go undefeated in Ohio, and I knew I was racing Chad at Bucyrus, and I knew I was racing Dustin at Midwest Meet. And obviously, like you mentioned earlier, or maybe we didn't talk about it, but Chad beat me early on in the season at Bucyrus. Pulled away from me literally in the last probably 250 meters, and he put 10 seconds on me. So pretty big beatdown I took there from Chad. But I mean, yeah, it was at that point in the season. I'm like, well, you know, my goal for the season to go undefeated was already over. Boom, right there. Chad beat me. That was over. But I sat back, I looked, I talked with my coach, Nate Ritz. I was like, well, we still got a lot of season left. You know, it's still pretty early on in the season. Bucyrus is really the first real race of the year for us. Second race because we were in a home meet the week before, but that's nothing big. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'll be fine. Like it's one race. So yeah, coming into racing Dustin, I still felt like I was the best runner in the state, to say the least. Even though I know Dustin was you got to respect your competition. You can't go in there saying you're gonna wipe the floor with somebody, especially with some of Ohio's guys that year. You got to respect who you're racing, and I surely did. But deep down, you got to be a competitor. You got to believe in yourself that you can win, and I fully did that. And going into that race, I told myself, you know, I'm not going to let him go. He likes to go out hard, and I said I'm going to go with him. And I told myself too that before that week, how much harder could he go out where he can drop me the first mile? And I was thinking, I mean, unless he runs like a 420, 425, you know, I'll be right there with him. And sure enough, we hit that mile, and I think it was 435, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, at the time, it's the fastest I've ever gone out in a cross country race, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're just me and him right now. I remember we had other good guys in the race. I'm pretty sure Lucas Bonds was in that race. Ryan Johnson was in that race. There were some pretty big names in there, and it was just me and him. And I'm like, okay, so it's how it's going to be. Here we go. And I felt smooth. I was like, okay, I can do this. And yeah, going through the 2 mile too, we were right there with each other, still stride for stride. Came through in I think it was 9:25 if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, at the time too, I didn't even click with me how fast we were going. I just knew I was still right there with him. I'm like, okay, we're doing well. And there was a point in the race, I think we had about 800 to go, and my game plan going in, I knew Dustin, one of the best kickers I've ever seen. Talking with my coach beforehand, if I'm going to make a move, I need to make it with at least 400 to go. Sooner if I felt good. I need to put a surge in before he has the time to even respond or even think about kicking. Because if he started kicking on me, I knew it was over because he had a really good kick. And with 800 to go, Dustin's coach is yelling. He's like, stop playing with him. And I heard that, and I'm like, stop playing with me. I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I don't think he's playing with me. I heard his breathing, and I was like, I feel like we're both hurting right now. I don't think he's playing. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go a little sooner. So about 650, 700 out to go. I'm like, I'm going to throw my surge in now. I don't think he's playing with me. I think I'm feeling pretty good. And that's when I went, and I didn't look back, and I was. Yeah, no, that race. Sorry to give you more about it than if you give you more about the race than you wanted it. But yeah, it was a race. I was pretty happy with it. Across the line, and I saw the clock, and it was a disbelief. I'm like, dang, wow, 14:29. That's pretty quick, I guess. I was pretty happy with it, and it didn't really hit me till after the race. And I was like, man, that was pretty cool. That was something I'll remember for a while. And I was pretty happy with it and congratulated him after. He closed well, 14:36. We went Ohio number 1 and 2, besting Andrew Jordan's 14:44, which, that was a guy I looked up to, Andrew Jordan. And to do that, I was like, man, it was something pretty special. And to get later that week, Andrew Jordan reached out to me too, and he's like, Zach, great race. Like, you and Dustin worked together well to get my record. And I was like, dang, that was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool race, something I'm gonna remember for a while. Sorry to give you the long version.
No, that was great. I've always wanted to hear what happened during that race. A little backstory for what I'll tell you the story about when we heard about it. We were at the Pickering regional preview meet that week. I remember hearing about it, and we were like, what? There's no way. So we went on the Timing First website. We pull up your times. We're like, this had to be short. We were the guys at Jonathan Auto, we were convinced it was short. No disrespect to you, we knew you guys were fast, but we were like, holy cow! And it wasn't just because of your times, but everyone ran fast that day.
Everybody, yes.
Yeah, it was an amazing day. But I will say, every year in Ohio, the first cool meet of the year, everyone drops a very fast time, and you guys happened to do it at a fast course, and it was exactly a 5K because my uncle actually runs that meet, and he went out there. I called him. He said I walked that 7 to 8 times before that. That is a 5K, and I trust my uncle.
Yeah.
But the next Monday, our team, we run on the rails, the trails for our long runs. So we went out there and we ran the 5K course 2 times, 1 times forwards, 1 times backwards. We got 3.08 and 3.12. So that was exactly a 5K. It's crazy how that worked out. But I figured that'd be a funny story to add in there.
Yeah, no, that is. It's funny too because like at the time too, a lot of people were saying like, well, it was short. You know, I mean, you beat Dustin, great job. It was short, and my coach, Nate Ritz, I mentioned him earlier. That Sunday he went back to the course and he measured it 3 times. Every time it was like a perfect 5K, and that's when I knew I was convinced. I'm like, no, it wasn't short. That was a legit course, and I mean, yeah, like that's one thing. If people always they'll talk and stuff, but deep down I knew I was like, no, that's a legit course, and I was like, yeah, it felt pretty good once I had that clarification. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
That is awesome. And regardless, even if it happened to end up being short,
Yeah.
you still won the race, a very competitive race, and you beat one of Ohio's, if not the nation's best. So no one could take that away from you, and they never will because that was a 5K.
Yeah, definitely. No, appreciate it.
Later that year, you raced at the Footlocker Midwest Regional, qualify to the Footlocker National Meet, coming in second behind your future teammate, Danny. Bring me through that experience in San Diego, getting to run at one of the nation's biggest cross-country races. That had to be a cool experience. Finished 12th and got the experience with 2 other Ohio legends, in my opinion.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Talk me through that. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, no. If I started the regional race, it was just pretty cool because at the time I knew I was going to Notre Dame with Danny Kilray and Dylan Jacobs. Both guys qualified, but then to make it even sweeter, you know, I'm running with a bunch of Ohio guys there. Chad Johnson qualifies, Matt Scrape qualifies, so it was pretty cool experience running that regional race up there in Kenosha, Wisconsin, because a lot of familiar faces up there. And honestly, having those guys there helped push me a little further, just because I was like, well, you know, I raced Chad and Scrape a lot throughout the season, and then here's 2 other guys I'm going to be running with the next 4 years on a team. So it was like, yeah, it was pretty cool seeing them there. But yeah, so going up to Footlocker Nationals, it was a pretty cool experience. You know, I got to get closer with future teammates and then get to know some Ohio guys a little bit more. And I'm a little biased. I'm always for those Ohio guys. You know, I'm always rooting for them. So it was really cool to be out there with them. But yeah, no, Footlocker Nationals was a pretty cool experience. I had a lot of fun out there, especially running with the Midwest guys. Really good group of guys that we get to run with and to race with out there. Definitely one of the highlights of my high school career. Really enjoyed it. It was just such a cool experience being around 40 of the nation's best at that time. Yeah, and you know, the cool thing was I wasn't too nervous or stressed going into the race. You think you would be going into such a high caliber race like that, but I felt like I was ready for it. You know, didn't have the race I necessarily wanted to have that day, but you know, I'll take it. 12th place at my first national meet. I'll take it. So no, it was a pretty cool experience. Hotel was super nice too. Afterwards, hanging out with everybody was super cool. Got to hang with Chad and Matt, Danny, Dylan, the rest of the Midwest guys, and meet some guys from all over the country. So yeah, it was a pretty cool experience and something I'll always remember. That's for sure.
Yeah, my senior year, that was my goal. I always wanted to make Footlocker, and I knew I was on the outside looking in. But to have that experience, very cool. Real quickly, we can talk about a few more races I highlighted. First, the Eastern Relays 3200, which is always my favorite high school track event of the year. For whatever reason, that 3200 is always really competitive. Even the year you didn't do it, I remember Zach Kirk and Hunter Moore dueling, trading paces. That was really fun. And then Horder ended up taking that race out. But the year you guys did it, four guys in Ohio going sub 9. You, Chad Johnson, Matt Scrape, and Dustin Horder. Super cool experience. Real quickly, just run me down that race. How'd that go, and what was it like afterwards and beforehand?
Yeah, no, I mean it was a beautiful night at the Eastern Relays. I remember that. Like, wind was barely blowing, had to be no more than 62 degrees. I mean, it was pretty nice. It was almost perfect running temperature, perfect racing temperature. And yeah, beforehand all of us knew we wanted to go sub 9. We just like, how far down can we get? Um, and yeah, like when the gun goes off and Horder takes the lead, and that's how he likes to run, from the front. So he took off, and I stayed back a little bit with near Chad, and then Titus. I'm blanking on the last name, Winters, something like Titus, guy from Tennessee, and we were just running together and stuff like that. But yeah, crossed the line in 8:58. Scrape was right there. I heard him coming too, 8:59, and I saw Chad and Dustin in front of me, 8:48 and 8:52. And it was really cool having four guys go sub 9 from Ohio. Like I said, I'm always rooting for the Ohio guys, and to have four of us do it on that day was pretty cool, especially because you see the Arcadia meet in California, and you see everybody running super fast, and you see everybody going to California to do it. It's like, man, no, we can do it. I like to say the blue collar way. We're staying in the Midwest. We can run fast here together, and that's kind of what we did. And that was a really fun race. Definitely also one of my in my opinion, one of my highlights on the track. But no, it was a really good race. And I remember starting the race, and Dustin, he comes up to I think it was me, and Chad was there. I know Scrape was there too, and he's like, what are we trying to do today? And I remember I replied, I was like, go sub 9. He's like, he pointed to the flags, and he's like, it wasn't windy at all. Weather's perfect. He's like, how far can we go? And that's when I was like, oh dang, yeah, it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. And sure enough, Dustin had a really good day.
Like I was mentioning.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
He must have cut out. The Eastern Relay is always a great race. I remember that's how I found Yard Goose for the first time. He ran against Horder and Kirk and Moore, I believe, the year before, and he ended up running fourth. So it's crazy to hear some of the stories about people kind of breaking out of that race too. You've mentioned Chad Johnson a lot. You battled him at the Bucyrus duels at the beginning of the year, almost every year. I wrote down 3-1 record over him in that meet. So you have that bragging rights over him, even though he got you at the national meet.
True.
You got him by 0.21 your freshman year. You narrowly got him by 5 seconds as a sophomore to win the race. And then your junior year, you won the race by 0.53. And then he pulled off to win a senior year, as you alluded to earlier. So with that being said, how fun was it running against Chad Johnson? Because it seemed like through indoor track, cross country, even outdoor track, you guys crossed paths quite a bit and became familiar competitors. How was it running against him?
Yeah, no, Chad, nothing but good things to say about Chad. Love the dude. I think we posted on our Instagram back then too, like your favorite friendly rivalry or something like that. So yeah, no, obviously when we were racing and stuff like that, both of us wanted to get the win, both of us wanted to beat each other, that type of thing. But it was a very respectful, off the track, very very friendly competition. I loved racing with him. I felt like he pushed me to go further, pushed me to go faster, which is really good. And I hope I did the same for him. There were a few times we ended up meeting up and running together. Just easy runs over the summer, hanging out a little bit. So yeah, no, Chad's a good buddy of mine. I've been following him at Iowa State too. He's been doing really well. Glad to see all of his success there. But yeah, no, I really liked racing with Chad. I think being from smaller schools, he's from a smaller one up in Bucyrus. Colonel Crawford. They were Division III. I was Division II. We got to see each other at the smaller races and stuff like that. I really do wish, and I think it'd be beneficial for Ohio to be one division for individuals. I think team-wise, I think it's great, but I would love for every state meet rolled around, and you just wish you were running against everybody. And I'm sure Chad was the same way, being in a smaller division too. But no, it was fun racing with Chad. Really, really cool guy. Nothing but good things to say about him. And yeah, no, he pulled out the best in me when we raced, and helped me get through some workouts too. I was like, man, I'm racing Chad in a few weeks. I gotta be sharp. I gotta be ready. So, no, great guy. Really loved running with him, racing with him, and nothing but good things to say.
Yeah, it was always fun seeing on Mile Split that you guys were dueling or on your
Oh yeah,
Instagrams. Always really
yeah,
enjoyed checking in on that, not rivalry, but just friendly competition. It was a lot of fun to
yeah,
see. Um, so it wouldn't be outside the oval without talking about something that was a little not centered around running.
yeah.
So you're really into woodworking. You have your own Instagram page, and I've looked into it. In specific, there's this cooler you made that I find awesome. But tell me what drew you to becoming a woodworker and why make the Instagram? Kind of what drew you to it?
Yeah, yeah. So it was something growing up. I kind of always wanted to do. I just didn't know how. Didn't. My dad always had the tools lying around the house. I didn't really know how to use them growing up. So I'm like, I want to learn that. I want to teach myself that. And it wasn't really until COVID came, we got sent home. 2020. Everybody sent home from college. We were sent home for spring break, and then we just never went back. And had a lot of downtime, a lot of free time. And, I'm gonna try to pick something up. So me and my neighbor Jacob Zinn, and I ran with him in high school. We were like, we're gonna try something. So we started playing around, with some different tools, learning how to use them, just kind of learning different techniques. Got into it. I'm like, man, I kind of like this. Started making some things just for personal use. Nothing crazy. Made some small shelves, some gifts for my mom, gifts for my grandma, family, things like that. Um, and I started making stuff, and my mom and my friends were like, man, that's pretty good. You should try selling it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I mean, I like doing it type thing. Um, I don't know if people would buy my stuff. I didn't think I was like great at it. I enjoyed doing it. So I started posting it, seeing what would happen, and things started picking up a little bit. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. People actually are kind of interested in buying this stuff. So, yeah, since then, since 2020, I've been expanding my shop a little bit. About to go drop some money at Lowe's tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. Not necessarily spending the money, but getting a new saw. So I'm pretty excited about that, just to start making some new things. Yeah, no, I've gotten into it. I'm pretty much all in with it now. I enjoy doing it. I like to. At first, I started with pallet wood because pallets are free. You can pick them up from dumpsters and construction sites. Just take the wood from there. I took a woodworking class this last semester at Notre Dame. Kind of free elective, so I'm like, why not? I learned a lot of things from my instructor. I'm hoping to bring that into my we'll call it a business, and so I can try to sell some more cooler things. I enjoy making it, and if other people find joy in it and they want to buy it, that's great. If not, I enjoy doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep trying to expand my tool set, my skills, and we'll see where it takes me. It's a fun hobby. I enjoy doing it on the side too. So, kind of like running. I like running because you can go out there for a run. It clears the mind. I feel like this is another one of those avenues for me too. Just kind of use the creative side a little bit. Challenge yourself. Make something. You see something. I like Pinterest. I think I like looking on there and seeing cool things. And if there's something challenging, I'm like, hey, I think I can make that. Or I'm like, hey, I don't think I can make that, but I'm going to try. You can kind of do that in the wood shop. So yeah, no, I got into that 2 years ago and going strong with it still. And shout out the site, Kreft Custom Woodworking. Give me the follow on Instagram. But no, it's pretty fun. It's relaxing. I enjoy it. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I'll be sure to put your Instagram handle in the caption. Everyone, go check out some of his work. It's really cool. Like I mentioned, the
Appreciate it.
cooler, my favorite piece. I'll definitely have to check out more pieces, I'm sure, as you start to expand, and that's gonna be really exciting. Real quickly, where do you hope this goes? Is there a specific like future you hope to have with it?
Not necessarily the future. I got my at least the school side. I got my degree in computer engineering, so I'm going to probably stay towards the tech side of things, especially as tech continues to advance rapidly. I just want to stay on that side of the business. But I mean, I want to keep doing it, keep trying to sell stuff. If people enjoy it, I'll try to sell it. So that's okay. I'm not going to stop anytime soon. So that's the goal with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another kind of side hobby you have, which is something I would love to participate in if I still lived in Ohio, the Central Ohio Milk Mile. Pretty exciting. It's always fun to see what you and your sister Bailey put on every year. The teams, especially this winter, was really cool. I follow that account. Pay attention to quite a bit. How big do you think this can get someday? And what are some of your favorite memories from the Milk Mile so far?
Yeah. So with the Milk Mile, it kind of started a few years ago. Just within our smaller friend group, we're like, why not run it? Yeah, I don't know. We just thought it'd be kind of fun. And then my sister Bailey, she was like, we always run the Milk Mile, and we make teams within our friend group, and we run, like, why don't we expand this out and literally just invite anybody and everybody who wants to do it? And the whole goal in that is just to bring out a lot of people from around the state. We get a lot of Central Ohio people mainly, but just kind of encourage just everybody to come out, have a good time, and just be around the sport a little bit more. So yeah, we started the Milk Mile last year, and actually I was pretty surprised. We had 36 people run it, which I didn't expect us to get that many, to be honest. And then people liked it so much. I thought it was gonna be like a 1 year thing. Um, we had this group meet set up for the account, and afterwards we were sending all the pictures, and we made the little results. We try to make it as official as we can. We make bibs for it. We get trophies. We get medals. I mean, we try to make it a very fun race, very low stress. Like, just go out there, have a good time. Type. Try not to throw up. I mean, if you throw up, it happens. Um, yeah, we try to make this a really cool event, because why not? And then in the group chat, people were like, hey, like, we should do it again next year. And we're like, oh, maybe we can make this an annual thing. And in the winter, we ended up doing another one, just because people wanted to do it. So we're like, sure, we'll host it. And, we don't try to make money off it. We charge $5 entry, and that covers, the trophies, the milk, the cups, the pins. As long as we just don't want to go in the hole. That's the only thing. I don't mind spending my time doing it, because brings a lot of people together, and it's a fun event, and I like seeing everybody have fun doing it. But yeah, no, I'm hoping this thing gets pretty big now that we've done it for 2 years. We're starting to get the word out a little bit more. Now that we've done it twice, we're having our third. It's funny, our third Milk Mile is actually this Saturday, the 25th. So that'll be pretty fun. We have some fun, a lot of fun people coming out for it. So it should be pretty cool. But yeah, no, hoping to keep this Milk Mile going. I know if you were around Ohio, we'd definitely love to have you out and they're running it. And hopefully you could have won the Golden Cow if you were here. That's what we call our first place trophy. But yeah, no, it's a good time. I'm hoping that it just brings people together, keeps people just enjoying the sport, especially in summer too, when we're all just running miles right now, and we're not racing anytime soon. Just come out for a little fun run and just see some people you don't see in a while.
Yeah, I see you and Hunter and your old teammate Bill. You guys seem to have a lot of fun with it on social media as well. Definitely something I'd love to be a part of, and maybe I'll happen to be in Ohio when you're hosting it one day.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
I'll definitely come out if that's the case. And the trophies look amazing. I saw those. You guys really put on a good production. It kind of reminds me of the little off topic, the Golden Turkey race that we both competed in.
Oh, yes.
So that's kind of where I feel like you might have drew some inspiration from for the trophies.
No, you're definitely right. Exactly, having that turkey trot and stuff like that. We're like, hey, let's get some awards for it, and that's definitely where we drew some of that inspiration. That's funny.
Yeah, that was always a fun 5K. I never did well there, but it was always a fun. I enjoyed getting the pumpkin pie after
exactly
waking up in the morning, running as a tradition on Thanksgiving for my family. So. Obviously, I was a little off topic, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool story. I kind of forgot that we both had run that same race.
Exactly. Yeah. With all the Buckeye Valley, Jonathan Older connections, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy how interconnected our two teams seem to be.
Yes.
So another part that our two teams were connected through, and we got to know each other through the Ohio Cross Country Camp, which is coming up as well. I went my sophomore and junior years before I moved with my team. In fact, Michael and Luke, my old teammates, are counseling this year.
Very cool. Nice.
How did you first hear about the camp, and what made the camp so special to you? Because I know it meant a lot to you when I saw
Oh yeah.
you there. Just tell me about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I went to the camp. My first year was my junior year. We were going into my junior year. My coach found out about it somehow, and he was just probably just talking to other coaches or other runners, and he's like, "Hey, you guys might like this. Why don't you check it out?" And never gone to a running camp before, so I'm like, "Oh, I mean, that'd be pretty cool." So yeah, me and a few of my other guys, teammates, Gavin Shearer, Jacob Zinn, Nathan Holst. That was kind of like that was the group of guys I trained with in high school. Really good guys. We all decided to go. Like, okay, cool, we'll try it out. And man, I was hooked after 1 year. I was like, man, you get to meet so many cool people, learn a lot, get some cool runs in, hear some really cool speakers. I mean, camp was awesome. I just really what draws me to running too so much is the people. And that camp's just a really good depiction of just good people. Like runners are just, I don't know. I really love talking and getting to know other runners. And it's just a really fun camp. You're exposed to a lot of other teams, a lot of other runners. Most of them are from Ohio, since the camp is pretty centrally located. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm just a little biased. I prefer the Ohio runners. Nothing wrong with anybody else, of course. But no, the camp was just really fun. It's just it kind of brought, everybody's competing in the season when cross country comes around, but there it was, everybody got to know each other. You get to know your friends, get to know your competitors. And just a really cool camp. And I just really enjoyed the camaraderie it brought with everybody. I liked it so much. I came back and was a counselor my first 2 years in college, freshman, sophomore year. And then I wasn't to go back a third year. Then COVID happened, so the camp got shut down, which I was pretty bummed about. Not only for myself, but just for all the high school runners that were missing out on that opportunity. I know my sister included. I'm glad that Luke and Michael were going back to be counselors. They're great guys, and I think my sister's going to be back as well. So it should be a fun time, and I know they're going to be great counselors for those kids, and they're going to be people the high school runners can look up to. So that's pretty cool. And being a counselor was pretty fun too, just because you got to help the next generation of high schoolers come through, and it was just cool to see the talent Ohio has, and just to get to know everybody. I enjoyed the camp a lot.
Yeah, Fleet Feet and Jeff Henderson, they put on a fantastic camp. It's the Ohio Cross Country Camp. I think this year it's in Otterbein, so got so big they had to move it from Denison. So very cool to see how that's been growing. If you had to give me one workout or one run over the course of the 4 years you went, can you tell me about that run?
Ooh, would you want to hear like the hardest one, or the one I enjoyed, or like a workout, that type of thing?
Whatever you'd like to talk about. If it's the alligator run, just because we got to go up to get popsicles, or you had a really good workout, so you want to highlight that. Whatever you'd like to talk about.
Gotcha. For some reason, I thought you meant run in terms of all of college. So I was like, dang, I gotta get very specific there. But in terms of the camp, oh man, one run. Honestly, we had a lot of really good runs. Just talking with everybody, getting to know everybody. The workouts are fun. Oh, I would say my favorite run was, I think we did K loops. I was a counselor this year, but just watching the guys' excitement. I was a counselor for Group 1, and we were just running through the Ks, and they were looking good, and you could just the energy were like they were just bouncing off each other, and they were running really well. Running smart too. They weren't overdoing anything, but it was really cool just to see the group of guys work together to run a really good workout, and that was really cool because I got to really take a step back, have those guys lead the workout, and just see them just kind of like man, we're fit, we're looking good. So that's probably one of my favorite runs, and that one that stuck out with me too, because I'm just seeing everybody just have a good workout. Running well, feeding off each other, pushing each other without being competitive. in a workout was pretty cool to see. So yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
enjoyed that one.
That 1K workout was always fun. I feel like you said, you alluded to it. You kind of feed off everyone else's energy, and it's just a special loop, in my opinion. I'd always dread the walk over for whatever reason, but I really
Oh
enjoyed that
yeah,
workout. It was a lot of fun, and I had some good ones. I mean, the progression lawn run was always a good one. The alligator run probably was
that
another
was a
one
good
that a lot
one.
of people
Yes.
like. And then the
Hmm.
reservoir was amazing. I loved going back there. Just everything about that camp, especially at Denison, was fantastic. I know
Oh
you
yeah.
had a great time, and it's going to be fun to hear stories about Michael and Luke going back. And it was nice
Oh
to
yeah.
hear your experience as a counselor as well. So as we start to close the show, I mentioned this to you a little before we started, just to think about it. Every guest I bring on the show, I'm going to ask them this question, so we can kind of
Hmm.
chart it over the
Oh
course of the
yeah.
next few weeks. And when it comes to November, we're going to see who's right, because
Yeah.
I'm one for competition. I'd like to
Oh yeah.
have a little competition. So this year, cross country going to be a great team battle for the team championship, great individual battle as well. If you had to give me your individual and team champion for the 2022 Division One Cross Country National Championship, who would you take and why?
Yeah. I would take individual. Got to go with my boy Dylan Jacobs. He's a stud. He's running really well. He's coming off fresh of a 10K national championship. I mean, he's looking good. I mean, even in practice, I was like, dang, this guy's fit. He's looking good right now, and he can keep that momentum rolling. Have a good healthy summer, good healthy cross season leading up to nationals. I really think he'll be vying for the win, and I think he's going to take it. Team wise is it's gonna be tough. Obviously, want to see Notre Dame do really well. But if I had to guess a team that's gonna win it, oh man, Stanford's looking kind of scary. They got some young guys that are all coming back. I mean, you can't count NAU out of it. You know, I'm gonna get crazy. I'm not gonna call NAU. I'm not gonna say NAU. I'm gonna say Stanford. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're returning a lot of their every one of their guys.
Oh
And if
yeah,
I'm wrong, yeah. So I really think they're looking strong. They always get good recruiting classes. I'm sure one of those freshmen can pop off a top 60 place, top 50 place at nationals. Yeah, I'll go Stanford for the win.
yeah. I'll of course talk about this in another future episode. I'll have a nice preview of the season coming up. But when you have Charles Hicks, Kai Robinson, and Cole Sprout being your top three, that's definitely a team that can compete right there with the likes of NAU, Oklahoma State, who I think is another good sleeper team this year, Notre Dame, and Tulsa. I think those five teams vying for that title this year. But when you have a top three, um, like Stanford does, it's definitely lots going to go your way in November.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Dylan had a great season. It was awesome seeing him win the 10K. And my dad and I did a fantasy track, kind of like just a pick 'em thing where we chose runners. And Jacobs was my second pick right after.
nice.
Right after. So having him on my team definitely was nice. Definitely was rooting him along because he is teammate of a fellow Ohioan. So it was nice to see that. Zach, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time. It was good having you on the podcast, and it's great catching up with you. And I wish you nothing but the best at Walsh.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you having me out here. It was great talking with you, great catching up, and same with you. Good luck this next season. I'll be following along. So yeah, no, appreciate it, Gavin.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for listening today. And I'll catch you next time outside the Oval.